much, Srividya. It's an absolute honor for me to initiate the special addresses today. Thank you so much, Sri Upendra Tripathi. I think your words not only instilled a lot of motivation and positivity, but also a sense of urgency within us to really see what can be done moving forward with this initiative. I want to start off with you, Dr. Kandeh. Wonderful to have you here. Thank you. You've been on the boards of so many institutions. You've headed so many institutions. And while we know that your heart is in Sierra Leone, and you've actually, initiated the Energy Nexus Network 10 in Sierra Leone right now, with co-conceptualizing. And I think the hubs you've been a critical partner for the hubs as well. And you've also sort of initiated the Mano River Union initiative and the movement and the conference as well, which really brings together West African countries. Just a few words from you on how do you think an initiative like this, the Global SDG7 Hubs, can really push your work and take it forward within the initiatives that you've started.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you, Harish, and the team and the other partners in this effort. We critically need these hubs. As the leader of the Solar Alliance said, we've set goals, but we also want to see sustainable action. And these hubs are about action. We have a decade to go to 2030. We are not convinced yet, given the data we see, that particularly countries in sub-Saharan Africa will be able to achieve SDG 7. So we need an additional impetus, and the hubs will be critical to bring knowledge systems, to bring some of the messages and the interventions that CELCO is known for, the ecosystem approach, that it is not just distributing solar lanterns. It is not just putting solar panels on rooftops. It is to ensure that these energy services are connected to other services that will make rural economies grow. It is about growth in those economies. It's about access to clean water. And it is also about supporting the women. So I believe that having these hubs in Africa is crucial. And let me give you another reason why it's urgent. The International Energy Agency 2 weeks ago announced in a ministerial conference, African ministerial conference I participated in, that in fact, this is the first time, 2020, that we have actually seen an increase in the number of people without access to electricity. For the first time in 7 years, the numbers have increased. Second, we also saw that in 2020, a 30% decline in investment in energy services in Africa. So you can imagine we have 10 years to go to 2030. And then COVID has impacted these economies very badly, and we're beginning to see reversals in the gains we've made in energy access. And of course, if those communities do not have access to energy or electricity specifically, it affects other services, medical services, agricultural production, and so on. So we need these hubs to serve as a catalyst, a knowledge center, to really bring practical solutions, energy solutions that are combined with other services. We've always argued, I see Mr. Takada, my colleague Van Leeuwen also on the forum here, and of course, our dear friend from IRENA. This is the argument we've always made, that energy is an enabler. Without energy, you can't achieve the other sustainable development goals. So I want to commend you that the hubs are needed even now to accelerate action in this remaining decade, but also particularly because of COVID. In Africa, we saw the problems that we could not have clean water for people to wash their hands during COVID. We saw the problems in rural clinics without the right services because, again, lack of energy. So we are all convinced on this forum that, in fact, energy is critical. But I just want to say it is even more urgent now. And when you look at it again, the reversals in climate change, you begin to see. Last week, I was on another call with the Minister of Environment of Germany, talking about climate refugees. We're very worried with the extreme weather events that are becoming more frequent. We're seeing more rural-urban migration in my country and other developing countries. Okay, with that phenomenon happening, we're getting worried. It means that the climate impacts are getting worse, and of course, energy solutions are crucial to keep people in those rural areas, to help them also have incomes that will make them climate resilient. And so, indeed, these hubs are crucial, and we'll see how we can combine efforts. You've already been to Sierra Leone, your team, and we're very grateful. You've been to our villages, you've seen the vulnerabilities, and the effort we're trying to do now with the Mano River Union, we are just a microcosm of what these 4 countries, 40 million people are experiencing. So this hub will service that ecosystem of 4 countries very well, and will tap into your own experiences and knowledge that you've gained in CELCO. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Kandeh, for the special address. I want to move to Richenda next. Richenda, you know, you've had so much of a long-standing experience in the energy sector, and you know, you've been through the grind of pilots and failures and successes. You know, we just want to get a bit of your thought process on how the hubs can really move the needle moving forward, and especially from an Andy perspective, how can we really contribute to jobs and entrepreneurship in the renewable energy space? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Huda, and thank you to Harish and the team. It's a pleasure to be here for this important initiative today.
Anybody who not get visa for dinner, would they check? Yes. Anybody who get to SIM, would they do the COVID test right here? And go bring me back.
Dr. Kandeh, I think if you can go on mute.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I think the points made by other speakers already, including in the introduction by Sarah, are critically important. We are globally interdependent. Innovation knows no borders, and it's important for us to take an ecosystem approach to the provision of sustainable energy. And with the work of the Aspen Network of Development Entrepreneurs, we are all about that ecosystem approach in supporting and unlocking the opportunities for small businesses to be incubated and to grow. We know that small businesses account for 90% of all businesses in Africa, and indeed 90% of businesses globally, and yet they still require electricity to be able to maximize their ability to provide goods and services to populations. And particularly during COVID, we have seen massive increases in digitization and taking businesses online. And we've also seen that that's impossible if you do not have access to sustainable energy. And I think one of the things that we can be very much looking at is, you know, we hear about the big corporates and how they are moving to renewable energy, you know, in a climate setting. And we're not hearing enough about unlocking the opportunity for local entrepreneurs, for micro entrepreneurs, for small businesses, and how, in fact, energy access is an enabler for all sorts of innovation at community level, at local level. And so here at Andy, we're really focusing also on a global networked approach across many different developing countries, including those where the Global SDG7 Hubs are operating. And so we want to work very closely with CELCO Foundation, with all your partners, on showing how we can be tying the access to capital, the small business engagement together with whether it's off-grid solar power or other types of energy access, to really help create this ecosystem that will be sustainable. We've seen too many one-off approaches where people parachute in and provide a project, and then a year later or even 6 months later, it no longer works because they haven't taken that systems approach. They haven't really looked at the ecosystem that needs to be built around it. So Andy is very supportive of this effort, and I'm personally very committed, because we've seen what happens when you don't have access to energy. And my final point will be particularly now in the healthcare arena. We're all around the world struggling with addressing COVID. And I've been involved personally with helping to provide solar power to health clinics and hospitals that cannot today deliver modern health services if they do not have electricity reliably and sustainably, as well as clean water. And if we do nothing more than that, we really need to be able to focus on securing people's health, because without their health, they cannot focus on their own livelihood and support economic development. So I'm thrilled to be part of this initiative, and thank you very much for the invitation today.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Richenda. I want to move to Marissa next. Marissa, building on what Dr. Kandeh and Richenda have both explained, you come from a country which really faces the brunt of climate change in a very real and very immediate manner. So, and given the opportunity in the Philippines, with the failures, the opportunities, the learnings that other countries can learn from in a very similar context, right? What role do you feel the hubs can play in the disaster SDG7 nexus? What role does energy play within this disaster nexus, especially from a climate adaptation perspective, Marissa, if you can bring in that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Huda. So I agree with what the other speakers before me had said, and I cannot overemphasize the value of a collaborative platform for sustainable energy, especially for a country like the Philippines. As you know, the Philippines is an archipelago composed of 7,100 islands, and we're really feeling the brunt of climate change. Now we don't know when typhoons would come. Before, there used to be months when you expect typhoons. Now it comes at all times, and it is in poor communities that are really very much affected by these changes. The Philippine government statistics showed that overall electrification was 94% as of 2017. However, even in some areas just in the periphery of Metro Manila, electricity is not regularly available or affordable for the poor. There have been efforts to promote the use of solar power, mainly for home lighting and other domestic uses, in areas that are not connected to the electric grid or in areas where there are typhoon calamity and other calamities. However, these have not been successful because they were focused on the distribution of solar home systems or lighting systems. They were product oriented. The ecosystem to support the shift to solar energy was just absent. And we believe in the need to shift to clean energy such as solar. And we are focusing our work mainly in the use of clean energy for poverty alleviation, to help poor families improve their quality of life and to create assets in their livelihood. With the assistance and support of Selco Foundation, we have been working towards building an ecosystem that will provide reliable energy services for underserved communities. Currently, we are bringing together, localizing the project, the initiative in Mindanao. This is in the southern part of the Philippines. We're bringing together leaders of underserved communities so that they can define their needs and the resources that they have. We're bringing together with them civil society organizations that are providing support to these poor communities, microfinance institutions, because we need financing and we need to affect how they look at financing for energy solutions. We're bringing in the academe and the technology providers because we need to make sure that when the technology is made available to solve problems in the area, then there should be a support system to make sure that it will be sustainable and also sustainable for the microfinance institutions that are supporting them. So we're excited to be part of this journey with Selco. We really are looking forward to learning from our colleagues from Africa and the other countries. We will be sharing our own insights and learnings, as well as the challenges that we're meeting. And hopefully together, we can really serve as a catalyst. Our concern really are more the, marginalized communities in the Philippines, especially those that are outside of the metropolitan areas. So we really see the hub as very critical in helping the local collaborations or coalitions that we're trying to build to have partners, learning partners, so that we can push the program faster because it's really needed in those areas. So congratulations to Selco for this initiative, and we're really looking forward to working with everyone in this collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marissa, for a very timely and apt message from the Philippines. I want to move to Mr. Minoru next. Minoru, hope you're doing well. And you have played multiple roles in the UN system, and you've really championed SDGs and SDG7 specifically. And you were one of the first few people that we came to with this concept almost a year or two back, saying, can we systematize it? Should we be doing it? And you encouraged us a lot, but also gave us a good level of pros and cons. It would be great to hear from you. And also, given the upcoming high-level dialogue on energy in 2021 that is expected, what role do you think, what should the Global SDG7 Hubs focus on, and how should we push for the agenda?
Thank you very much with my colleagues. Thank you very much for the opportunity to talk and join this conversation. And I'm a fan of SDG7 Hubs. So I'm very glad that you are actually taking this concept into a reality in this way. So congratulations, first of all, to Serica and the colleagues for the very hard work to make things happen. So as we mentioned, in the world there are two sort of big objectives and goals that everybody agreed to. Number one, SDGs. So that's the next 10 years. And I don't have to explain what SDGs are. You're very familiar with those things. And climate change. Obviously, this is something that we will have to address. It is affecting everybody. Now, if you look at it here, situations, right? The SDGs, even before COVID-19, it has been a struggle. The Global Sustainable Development Report of 2019, they took a sort of macro perspective about where we stand on those things. Out of the 17 SDGs, only 2 goals kind of on track at that time, and others are struggling. Some are sort of catching up, some are really behind. Now hit COVID-19. So you can see that it is struggle across the board. And then if you look at it, say for example, its numbers are very struggling, right? The people under the extreme poverty, it actually is projected to increase this year. So this has not happened last several decades. The hunger is really on the rise. So you can see really that it is impacting people. It is impacting those people who are really marginalized and has been struggling for a long time. Climate change. Okay, it's very good that lots of countries are now saying that by 2050 we have to go to net zero emissions. Now, solutions started emerging. Renewable energy, particularly, it's a big solution on that. Now, question is that, can we actually sort of connect those 2050 climate change net zero momentum with the action that are going to be supposedly be able to help realize SDG, particularly for those people who are struggling under poverty, marginalized community? This is the SDG7 Hub job. Right? Because I think in energy, we say always energy is an enabler for all the SDGs, true. But I think we have to have specific approaches and tools to be able to make it happen. In a way, not just to support few, but also for the wide population, for all. And I think that's why that I'm a fan of SDG7 Hub. This is exactly what we have to do for the health, for education, for productivity, agriculture, you can name it, entrepreneurship, and creating jobs for the youth. It's such an important thing that the SDG7 Hub concept actually provide. So we'll be able to realize those things that we have been preaching for a long, long time. Now, this has to be replicated all over the world. So you made it as a hub, as a concept that is replicable, and that you have shown that in many places you're trying to do it, not just in India, in other places, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, all those places. I think this is exactly a fascinating thing that you're doing it. Now, on the UN side, the 2021 is supposed to be quite a sort of, packed year, partly because many things that were supposed to happen this year, we needed to postpone to 2021. But on the part of energy, I mentioned a few things. One, General Assembly of the United Nations decided to have high-level dialogue on energy in September in New York. This is the first time that the General Assembly actually hold mandated discussion on the topic of energy with all member states, including since 1981. So it's 4 decades since General Assembly picked up energy issues in the formal sense. So we're very excited. Secretary General on this occasion will be convening this high-level dialogue at the summit level, meaning he is inviting heads of states to come and address the world on the topic of energy. To prepare for that, we actually started, creating a preparatory processes, which are around the 5 topics. 1, energy access. 2, energy transition. 3, energy action to advance other SDGs, which is where I think the concept of the SDG7 Hub fits extremely well. 4th, capacity building and data. And the 5th, finance and investment. So preparatory processes that are going to be starting very soon from January for the next 9 months. That will be giving us a deep look at experiences and opportunities around those 5 themes. I do expect that you actually bring in your experiences, your suggestions across all, but particularly in regards to energy action to advance other SDGs. We are establishing technical working groups around those 5 themes that are going to create, the recommendations on how to advance and achieve SDG7 targets related to those things on the next 10 years in a way that it will be able to contribute to the net zero emissions by 2050 as well. The idea is that by the time the high-level dialogue energy is going to be convened in September in New York in the margin of General Assembly, Secretary General will be able to compile all those things in the form of global plans of actions to achieve SDGs and also contribute to the 2050 net neutrality. Then it will be a missed opportunity if we don't bring your experiences into it. And I am personally determined to make sure that that is going to happen. Partly because UNDESA is a secretariat for the high-level dialogue energy, and then I am one of the focal points of supporting those things. So we'll be looking forward to bring your experiences and you personally in person. So please do not be surprised that if I call upon you to actually to try to help us on that front. In the UN system, we're revamping UN Energy, which is a coordination mechanism across all UN entities working on energy to support this process and working side by side with all the counterparts, and then also to make sure that the UN system is available to support all member states and stakeholders. And finally, high-level dialogue on energy will be mobilizing voluntary voluntary actions from all stakeholders, what we are calling them right now, energy compacts. So we'll be also extending the invitation to all the corners of the world to bring their own actions in the form of energy compacts that will be recognized as contribution to the 2030 agenda and beyond. I'll stop here, but again, congratulations to all the work you're doing and look forward to working together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Minoru. Wonderful to hear from you. I want to go to Gauri ji next. Thank you so much for being here, Gauri ji. Wonderful to have you. You bring a multitude of experience right from the grassroots level, government, and now multilateral level experience that you span across. And with IRENA, really kind of playing that bridge between India and Africa and also other countries, but especially when it comes to policy making as well. So I just wanted to hear a couple of a short message from you on how do we bring the practitioner's perspective to policy making when it comes to SDG7 agenda and moving it forward with the hub.
Thank you, Huda, and thank you for having me here for the launch, Harish. And it's really been such an interesting session till now, listening to all the colleagues and friends who've spoken before me. I just want to add to the very important things that each one has said in building up this discussion and narrative, taking it forward. The discussions that we hear in forums nowadays, as Minoru correctly pointed out, is that there has been a huge momentum building up to countries coming out and announcing their carbon neutrality or zero net emission goals in 2050 and 2060. Now, this is obviously something that's that one is seeing as a build up to the climate summit, but also the build up to the COP that's going to happen in November. But on the other hand, the whole discussion on access somehow gets missed when we talk about these large pledges that are being made by countries. Probably because these pledges are being made by more developed countries or the large emitters. In this whole discussion, there is in my view, a chance that the whole access agenda might get a hit unless we can bring out really successful examples of how there are models like the SDG Hub that can actually get action on the ground happening very rapidly. So, what's interesting about the way the SDG Hub has been conceptualized, I think, years of working with communities has made me realize that we pretty much underestimate the capacity of the poor to be able to mobilize and to be able to really take forward even seemingly difficult technology and entrepreneurial processes. I think that's something that we underestimate. But if there is a strong process-oriented methodology of being able to create an ecosystem, that's when it might take time building it up, but it's clearly much more sustainable. And I definitely agree with what Marissa said, that this whole approach moves away from a product-oriented approach where you saw many companies that came in with all kinds of products, and but these were, they were not sustainable. And getting in the local leadership, mobilizing the community, building the entrepreneurs relationship with the banks, the local banks, bringing that kind of awareness into the communities is a slow process, but not. But once it gets grounded, there is exponential growth that can happen around it, because people are not. They're not stupid. They can see that these are processes that can also change their lives, and that's how these kind of ecosystem approaches have that potential to rapidly scale up. And that's actually what you need when you're talking about access. And we heard the numbers, we heard how large the problem is. But I don't think we have really successful replicable models. And that's what the SDG Hub has the potential of becoming. And which is why it's, to me, it's a very, very exciting journey that you're about to embark on. And I would just like to wish Selco and all the partners the very best, because it's an arduous journey. It's a lot of grunge work, but I think the rewards at the end of it can really be exponential. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gauri. Thank you for that message. With that, thank you all so much for being here. I think it's been very, very heartwarming messages from all of you, and even more heartwarming to have all the regional partners and a lot of other partners here as well to really mark this occasion. Over to you, Srividya, for the next keynote speaker.